We are now sitting at about 1,750. So we have to reduce that to 1,550 because that's the amount of water that were apportioned by rainwater. So we are looking at how best we can do that. Part of the strategy is throttling, as you know that particularly at night we try to throttle water so that we can reduce the losses during the night and also to reduce which will contribute to us reducing the that we consume in Johannesburg. So it's an important part as journalists. As we report on the non-availability in other areas, it's important to also speak about water demand, conservation of water, and how we use the water in our areas. So it's an important part that I thought I should start with. We have been working towards reducing it. It's taking time, but we want our residents, for example, residents should not be watering their gardens, especially during the day, preferably after 6 in the evening. It's better to water your garden, but would prefer you at this stage where we are trying to manage a distribution of water, that it is very much important that you don't water your gardens, you don't use clean water for you. Also requesting them to recycle the water so that we reduce the demand. Can we have order there?
Colleagues, please keep it down.
Can they probably move?
Please.
Because they're disturbing that we're doing. So that's the part of what I thought I should start with. But of importance, therefore, is the areas that are better. Mid-rent area, and I'll try and speak to the reservoirs themselves in terms of percentages that we're beginning to see in mid-rent. As you know, that's where we're affected just around the period in January the 26th. That's when the water reservoir, the rainwater reservoir, had a leak. It's called the Klipfontein reservoir, which had a leak, and we had to try and restore that reservoir. And the indication was that yes, it will take time for the Joburg reservoirs to then pick up and get sufficient water to supply. Where we are now, we are only battling in true sense at the Errant reservoir and tower, which is not picking up in the manner in which we wanted to pick it up. So it's sitting at about 2%. But what we have also done with the reservoir is to bypass the reservoir so that the supply of water that we can provide in the area. You know, in January we did indicate that the Grand Central was battling, but Grand Central has shown an improvement at 55% for the reservoir and 47% at the tower, which is an indication that we're improving. Not everyone has water now, but we are seeing an improvement in the area. President Park, which supplies a much larger area, has also improved at about 57%. We want these reservoirs to get over 60 so that we can say now we're at a comfortable stage. So it's taking a bit of time. We're working with rainwater so that they continue to pump water. But what they also had to do was to balance Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni and Tshwane. So that forced the pumping to be done at a particular technique so that we can allow everybody to have water. You know that that reservoir affected Tshwane, Ekurhuleni and Johannesburg. But where we are, we think we are now improving, and we are getting feedback from customers as and when they're beginning to get water. At times you'd find that the system at night might experience problems after 6, 7, because people now start harvesting water, and that drains the reservoirs quite much quicker. Can you go to the next area, which I think we are seeing an improvement, is the area around Randburg and Roodepoort, which remains stable with no real challenges, except for one reservoir which is at 32%, which is the Constantia Tower, and we are trying to get it to an acceptable percentage. And we then go to the Meredale, which will have Rosettenville, Honeydew, Cosmo, etc., is sitting quite comfortable without challenges. Now let's go to an area where we think there's challenges now, which is Ayrton, Crown Gardens, Eagle's Nest, Chawela, Doornkop North, Jabulani, Meadowlands, Power Park Tower, Zondi, Kibla Park and Glen Vista. These are the areas that are currently adversely affected, and we are doing our level best, except for Ayrton, which is sitting at 85%, which is quite okay for us to supply those areas. Crown Gardens is at 26, it's quite bad. So these are the areas. Eagle Nest at 5, Chawela at 23. At least we have seen an improvement on the Doornkop North at 45%, 25% for Meadowlands, 4% for Power Park, Zondi 21, and Kibla Park at 49, and Glen Vista at 20%. What we have also done is to bypass the Jabulani. You know that Jabulani reservoir is quite damaged. We have commissioned it for refurbishment, so we have bypassed so that at least we can continue to supply water in the Soweto area. So those are the areas that are affected, and our technicians and engineers are busy on the ground so that we can get this thing right. We were affected by a possible strike which started on Friday, started in a form of a go-slow. By yesterday, the management of Joburg Water together with SAMU, they then reached an agreement, and everybody is now back at work, whilst the 2 weeks that they've agreed on will allow management and labor to resolve the challenges that exist currently. But in the meantime, all workers have returned back to their stations. We have agreed with the Minister and the Deputy Minister of Water this morning that they will also be giving necessary support together with Rand Water, because part of what we require Rand Water to be doing is to pump so that its reservoirs can be full to capacity, so that they can then be able to pump into our reservoirs as Joburg Water. So that's where we are in terms of the updates, and would want to increase the frequency of updates to yourselves as the media, and of course to our customers. The normal interventions in terms of provision of water tankers will also be continuing. But also on the good news, we are completing what should have been completed last year November, which is this reservoir and tower, which is now at testing and commissioning. We are hoping to be fully functional by month end. By month end of February, it will then be fully functional. I think it's at 37, if I'm correct, million liters. Am I right? Yeah, the total, the tower and the reservoir will give us about 37 million liters. So in that way, it will help us to provide Region B with sufficient storage, and we can now supply Region B with water. And we do apologize to our customers that this thing has taken longer, especially in areas where not had water for over 15 days, 25 days. we are trying our level best to restore water back. In some instances, we have the capacity to have been able to provide water in the morning until in the afternoon, but after 5, we've been battling to do so. Allow me to conclude. You'll ask a question. As I said, we are working together with our communities to ensure that we supply water to our people. And we are fortunate that we are not at day 0, because everything that we are doing is to ensure that there's water. Some areas will battle, but we are trying to push and balance the water distribution. At this stage, we are ready to take questions. Sorry, Katu, taking a job. Ke kopa ke tsaba lo nwa metsi. Ke kopa tege.